We could get the average American to start working a year earlier, right out of high school, or work a year later, not retire. It would generate about $3 trillion. $3 trillion to the U.S. economy.
This is why we say that it isn't left versus right, it's up versus down. Just listen to who they are expecting even more sacrifices from. Not the wealthy elite with more money than they could ever spend in a lifetime. Of course not. They're too busy giving those even more handouts. It's the rest of us, including the nearly 75% of Americans who already expect that we will have to keep working well past 65, that they expect even more sacrifices from. Right. And according to the AARP, more than half of women currently between the ages of 65 to 74, along with more than a third of men that age, are already still actively in the workforce right now. But all of that sacrifice that working class Americans are making every single day of our lives still isn't enough for the leeches.
It's the enslavement of the middle class.
They're watching us work ourselves to and then just still demanding that we do even more. It is sick. And they claim that it'll be worth it because all that additional sacrifice would add roughly $3 trillion to our economy over the course of our lifetime, including roughly $435 billion of which would be tax revenue for our country to use. But what they aren't telling you is that there is a way better plan that has been introduced over and over again, which wouldn't require working class Americans to sacrifice anything. In fact, it wouldn't require noticeable sacrifice from anyone at all, regardless of their income, and it would raise trillions of dollars more than Dr. Oz's stupid plan. I'm referring to the ultra-millionaire tax that has been proposed repeatedly by Elizabeth Warren, which would pull in $3 trillion in tax revenue every 10 years. That's $350 billion in tax revenue every single year, y'all, without anyone ever having to forfeit any of their retirement or any time with their families. The tax would only apply to households with a net worth of over $50 million, and it would only kick in for money above that $50 million threshold. After that $50 million that gets left untouched, a 2% tax would kick in, meaning they would be taxed 2 pennies for every dollar beyond the untouched $50 million. And then for the mega richies, you know, the people who are literal billionaires, an additional 4% tax would kick in, but only for the money beyond their first $1 billion. We're talking about people richer than God, folks. People for whom this tax would have less impact on their lives than buying a Happy Meal would have on yours. And it would make our country an additional $350 billion every year. And I want you to really sit with that, folks. Really think about the gravity of what I just said. They are willing to demand you forfeit the retirement you busted your ass to earn, but they aren't willing to demand that literal billionaires hand over a few pennies. The people in the White House would rather you work yourself into an early grave and never get to experience the fruits of your own labor, just so the richest 750 men in our country don't have to contribute what amounts to spare change for them.
I could not have said this better myself. Taking advice from Elizabeth Warren, an attorney, a Harvard law professor, a senator, an expert in bankruptcy and commercial law, she knows exactly what she's talking about. She has been everywhere before she was a senator. The purpose is the enslavement of the middle and lower class, so to speak, in the United States in order to continue to enrich these people. If you just tax them a little bit, a little tiny bit, all of our problems would be solved. The purpose is to hoard the money and enslave the people. Like, Sharon Paula.